hope y'all miss me. Hey, formalities. I have to say super thank you to each and every one of y'all that continue to show up, continue to show love, engage in the comments, that are just having a good time with the space. I appreciate you so much. I hope that we can build like a community that feels good. And again, I don't expect everyone to agree or like every single thing that I do. I don't want people to just feel like they owe me that. But for everything that you do like, that you do appreciate, that it just adds value, and you give me that feedback, and you show up with the comments, with the likes, with the subscribers, like all of that stuff just means the world. So if I haven't said it for a while, you know I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say it again. Just thank you so much. We are approaching 600 subscribers. We are like right there. And again, it's at a point where I'm still kind of in disbelief, where I'm like, yo, this content thing is really, like, it's a real thing now. And having a pocket of people, like this space or this community, where it's like, I can't just disappoint y'all, right? So it's super dope. But again, just thank you. Class is back in session, so I'm working out what my schedule is gonna look like. The plan is to just try to stay in front of everything to the best of my ability, right? And keep you guys kind of in the loop. So it's not just this, again, just this empty space of like, she ain't doing nothing or she's not taking it seriously. I do expect class to take up a good amount of my time. I told you guys, like, I'm doing psych now, and in particular, I guess I'll share, I'm doing psychopathology, foundations of biological behavior, and psych statistics. Psych statistics I was pretty scared of. Psychopathology I'm looking forward to. And the science where they talk about things like neuroplasticity and things like that, and you know, changes in the, at least this is what I'm anticipating, right? Changes in the nervous system, and like imprinting or like memories in the brain, and how it changes your behavior. So I am looking forward to a lot of what these courses are going to offer. And yeah, and I'm gonna be back, like, as I stumble across new stuff, if I find it, you know, overlapping or related to something that we deal with currently, like, I'll probably do a video about it, because I'm a little bit of a nerd, so forgive me for that. But we are here for all of the shenanigans, right? Y'all know that my whole goal is to really create, again, like a space where we can be safely accountable, and it gives us a space and opportunity to like improve, reevaluate, take inventory, that kind of thing, because I think we can miss that throughout life. But every once in a while we get these real juicy real world examples, and where we can just have conversation and be reflective. And I gotta come full circle and have a conversation again about this whole DJ Akademiks deposition. Originally, I was just going to talk about his deposition and his intentionality around repurposing or reposting all of the different little clips that he can control the narrative. So to give you some prelude about what this conversation was originally about. But go figure, of course, between last night and this morning, well, last night and at some point today, motions have been filed. Motion for sanctions against Caesar McDowell, who is the CEO of Unite the People, who is currently representing Tory Lanez, who was previously representing Milagro Graham. And, you know, apparently Caesar was being a jerk in his deposition. So look at that. Look at that. That's very interesting that we have a whole team of people. Like Milagro's deposition, we got into, I don't know, did we talk about it? I don't think we talked about it. Oh my goodness. All right, I got some catching up to do. But Milagro doing a lot of the plausible deniability. So then you have DJ Akademiks, who has a good pocket of people that's kind of rallying behind him being, let me not call him Akademiks. His name is Livingston. So you have Mr. Livingston doing what he's doing, right? He has this these clips going around, and he's having this full conversation on his platform with his, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I haven't blocked. I'm, again, not a fan. I don't like abusive people. So yeah, there's that. And he's, again, controlling that narrative or that discussion and using these clips as justification or proof of who he is and how fantastic he is, right? There's all of these things. And then you have it come out today that Caesar, who is a part of Tory Lanez's team, is also being problematic, talking about how nice people's hair is, talking about he needs to go and pee, he needs to take pills, just being difficult. So the depositions, the two that I've seen, PDF, Milagros and Caesar's, 600 pages. I think Caesar's is like 588. Milagros is like 600 or 603 or something crazy like that. And Akademiks is talking about he, kept them on the phone for 7 hours. So again, so we're seeing the intentionality. And I think that the easiest thing to point out here is that, I don't know if y'all seen that scene with Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese, and I can't remember the other two. Andre 3000 and Jack Attack. Can't remember his actual name. Sorry, Jack. But yeah, at the end when they're asking them questions as witnesses and whatnot, like they do this whole thing where they was like, oh, I was home and I was banging your moms. And I'm realizing that what happens is that people think that TV like translates perfectly in real life, because this is what they are actively doing. They are on purpose, like going about this with like, oh, it's just my opinion. And there's so many people that's standing behind that and supporting this narrative that it's just my opinion. But we're going to talk about this a bit more because I actually have it here, and I don't want this to be too long because we're going to come back and we're going to have a full run through. I want to talk about Meg's case. I want to talk about Cardi's case, and this witness. Oh my goodness, her trial is absolutely comedy. And as a quick point with that one, I just think that the lawyer has a tough time proving his plaintiff like wasn't an antagonist, and she kind of flailed a little bit where she doesn't have proof of injury. There's so many things that she's lacking. There's so many things that she couldn't, just the test actually occurred. And there's so many more people that's saying that what she's saying happened didn't happen. So he went through all of this stuff of talking about Cardi, talking about her hair, talking about, trying to get Cardi to lean into this fat phobic thing. And I think that the sensationalism of social media and just like kind of reality TV kind of behavior and everybody's ability to participate is creating this distortion in reality that does not translate. I previously talked about the notion of the average person in a specific space versus the reasonable person that might show up in the courtroom. And I think that that distinction is getting lost. But again, we're going to thumbnail it because I would love for us to have that conversation in full. So let's jump into this whole conversation about Akademiks Livingston's deposition. So as we know, a deposition, and if you see me looking down, I'm reading, okay? Like it's a thing. The deposition is just an interview. And it's not just an interview, like just very plain or anything like that. It's an interview for a legal case, right? So in this case, we understand that this is an opportunity in discovery to compile evidence and statements, and where you can lean into certain spaces to corroborate certain findings, to find or assess characters and witnesses and that sort of thing. So it's all about just bringing things together, right? It's a part of developing the case. And of course, this witness testimony, or these people that are a part of this circumstance or within this ring, can lean into and support these depositions once a jury or a judge finds that it's appropriate for cases to move forward. All right. So if you pay attention to preparing a witness for trial, a big part of the witness's job is to not just be credible, but to also be likable, right? And this is super important because I think that what's happening in all of these testimonies, well, not so much testimonies, I'll withdraw that. Well, a big thing that's happening inside of these depositions, in my opinion, which is not a legally professional opinion, I think that they are missing the significance of not being problematic. It is important for people to see you as a little bit of both, right? So even if you're not a perfect person, right? If people for some reason don't like you, because I think that that part is lost, right? That there is this perfect translation of professional opinions and the person or the human being that's making this professional judgment, right? Like, so a judge is a person. Lawyers are people. Doctors are people. So we talked about this before where, yes, there are experts, but experts also exist in their flesh, right? So they're not detached. Their professional opinion is not outside of their brain. Yes, we have legal constructs and so on to make sure that we are following a particular set of guidance, but the final decision is the final decision of the person. So if you come across as malicious or calculated in a negative way, right? If all of these things show up, and it's not just about having strategy in a positive way or just you're nervous and you're trying to be careful. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out, like, I've never done this before. This is not what we're seeing in these depositions. We're seeing blatant disrespect and arrogance for legal professionals and the legal system. And I'm going to say this, as tough as this might sound, I think that it's also kind of wild that people of color think that this is the place and time to do that. I am not telling you to be steamrolled and be treated any kind of way, but for your actions to not be the best actions, for you to be on the opposite end of a smear campaign, harassment, defamation, and to show up like a jerk, I'm like, I don't think that that's a great strategy. Not to mention that we already are stigmatized in this particular sort of way as people of color. So we're going to put that in our back pocket, right? And so let's remember that we want to focus on trust and credibility when you are being perceived by the court. So we want you to be trustworthy, we want you to be credible, but people that are not liked are not trusted and are not always perceived as credible. Because you don't necessarily, they're not synonymous, you don't need one to have the other, but more often than not, if people don't like you, they're going to say that they don't trust you and they won't find you credible, right? And what happens is that with every act or behavior that presents in a particular sort of way, you have this thing called confirmation bias. So when we watch the behaviors of these people together, they don't understand the significance of your behavior is confirming the assertion that Megan's team is already making. Does that make sense? Megan and them is already saying that y'all are petty, dishonest, mean-spirited, active smear campaign. Y'all are these people. And going into depositions, being problematic, contemptuous, and just outright nasty is not going to help your case. It's not going to help your case. It's not going to help the person's case, and it's not going to keep you out of further legal action moving forward. And this is what we are seeing. We are now seeing, what was it, non-parties? We're seeing people like Tory Lanez sanctioned. We are now seeing Caesar McDowell. There is a motion right now for him to be sanctioned. So you are going to get pulled into this more and more because why? You are showing up, and for lack of a better way of saying it, being an asshole. That's not going to help you. But it's not unreasonable to expect abusers to continue to be abusive and disrespectful throughout, right? But let's get into this, right? First and foremost, there's a bunch of ways that we can skin a cat. And this is the point that I'm making. When you are in the midst of a deposition and you're in a defamation case in particular, again, the notion of what kind of person you are becomes very, very important. Them showing up in these depositions being nasty is only further corroborating exactly what Megan has been saying. To be in a courthouse, to be inside of the legal process and continue to show up the same way that you've shown up on social media to disrespect her, you're doing it to legal professionals, and you're going to continue. Now you're smearing the reputation of the legal professionals on behalf of Megan. How do you think that that's going to help you? I don't know, but maybe they got a plan that I don't understand. But for me, it looks a little wild that they would persist or behave in the way that they do while being in a legal battle, when typically anybody that's in a legal battle tends to be quiet. Notice that Akademiks is not having the same conversation about his rape case. Oops, I don't know if I can say that on. About his assault case, right? So let's get into this notion of not liking somebody. And when you give, say, a clear distinction, right? Because one of the things that I felt like stood out about Akademiks is not that he just had an opinion of Megan Thee Stallion being dishonest, right? It's also this notion of like, bro, you genuinely just don't like her. And I don't quite understand that. But what he doesn't understand is important in a defamation case. Like any other case, you need to have what? You need to have a motive. And when you have a motive in a defamation case, like disdain, you are setting the case in motion without the lawyers having to work that hard, right? So when he does these unhinged things like sharing he's being deposed and inappropriately using quotations to imply that Meg's team is on a witch hunt, right? They used his post, he actually shared this himself. When he went ahead and they asked me about Drake, they asked me about Nicki, they asked me about this one, they ain't doing nothing about Toy. Why did you think that that would be helpful in a defamation deposition? Why do you think that when her team is suggesting that Milagro Graham is defaming her and she's using all of these people and you are being deposed as an arm or an extension of defamation, smear campaign, harassment, why do you think in the middle of a deposition that you should have this conversation in this way? Somebody help me understand. But let's take it a step further. He doesn't stop at just making the accusation there. While he is having this conversation, he goes up and he brings up Desiree Perez. And he's sharing. Let me tell you about how foolish the decision to share the Slack messages of the lawyers. In my professional experience, right? Typically, when people of a certain background, now this is, we'll call this, I'm not sure, but from my experience, right? People of a particular background, they put in their signatures that this information is confidential. And if you receive this in error, you should not share it, this, that, and the other. Please delete this, that, and the other. So there is a disclaimer about confidentiality usually attached to the emails of the lawyers. Now, the reason that this may not have impact in this case is because the notion of him being made aware of that confidentiality that's expected in emails could not exist in that Slack conversation. It's for him to get this plain outline of this is not allowed. You cannot share this. You cannot put this here. But a deposition is very much a confidential meeting until otherwise listed as something public. And he went ahead and not only did he share that he was in the middle of the deposition last year, he is now rehashing the details of this deposition and establishing a narrative. So let's get back into Desiree Perez. And he was like, oh, they told me, they talked to each other and they saying, tell Des. And immediately he implies that it's Desiree Perez from Rock Nation. And he said, oh, but Rock Nation is not supposed to have anything to do with this. Two things for why that's dumb as hell. So first and foremost, let's say that he's 100% correct. Let's say that he's 100% correct. Desiree Perez is a part of Megan's management team. What would her management team be responsible for? Public relations, public image. So in the event that you continue to pursue a smear campaign while in the middle of a deposition, she should absolutely know what's happening. She should absolutely know. Secondly, Des, because that's what he saw and said that it was Desiree Perez. Des could be Destiny, could be another Desiree. To put that out there and risk being wrong is stupid. But this is what happens when you're dealing with arrogance, because everyone is like standing like, oh, he was drinking, he was this, he was that, but he's sharp, he's this, he's blah, blah. Insisting that you are correct under any and all circumstances is the first bit of proof that you are more foolish than anybody could imagine. You might know a lot, but that does not mean you are intellectual or strategic. It means you're emotional, and I get it, because this is a high risk sort of thing, especially while you're in the middle of battling an allegation of sexual assault, right? So going back to this notion of this is just my opinion, this over assertion that he participated in, right? Where he's sending his clips, oh, she lied today, she'll lie tomorrow, she'll lie in the morning. And this over exaggeration of, yep, she's just a liar. And they asked him simple questions. Did she perjure herself? Do you believe that she perjured herself? And he wouldn't admit it. He couldn't admit it because at this point, he is leaning into the passion of proving that she's a liar more than he is actually willing to accept the truth. And the truth of the matter is that Tory was found guilty. And I'm going to say this again, like Tory is plutonium, because I'm like, yeah, y'all all attached yourselves to him and all y'all did was put yourself in poison water. It's so dumb. It was so dumb to stay this deep in this thing. It makes so little sense. I digress. But the use of his passion of disdain for her, even all this time later, no encounters with her, no instances that Meg has ever said anything inappropriate to him. No instances where she's directly referenced. You can't even point to the thing that she would have done that would have created this level of passion behind him. So now we're looking at unhinged behavior, right? And this takes it a bit further. for me. Because what I had been looking for throughout these depositions, throughout these conversations, was that under oath, these people would say, Tory told me himself that he did not shoot that girl. But rather than having the conversation about what Tory said as a matter of fact, as an alternative testimony, you have a series of people that are continuing to focus on the discrediting of Megan Thee Stallion. This is the part that is kind of getting me. And I'm still looking through some of this stuff, so I don't want to over-assert this position as if I'm absolutely correct at this time. But Milagro and Livingston, I'm waiting for the part where they say, like, I told them straight, like, yes, I'm passionate about this and I'm heated about this because in my opinion, based on what Tory told me, Tory said that he didn't shoot that girl. And I'm struggling if you have him saying that he didn't shoot that girl and this is this and that is that. But then I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really work. Why? Because he never said that under oath. And so a reasonable person, not the average person, because social media, again, the average person in this sample could look a little strange. But a reasonable person would say, if he told you that, why he ain't tell the court that? You see, the other part is like, you know, the closest we get to him saying somebody else did it was him sending this DM to Jason Lee. And he specifically said, I didn't want to put a black woman in jail, talking about Kelsey. And here is the thing. I don't think that people fully understand beyond a reasonable doubt. And the best case scenario of beyond a reasonable doubt would have been him getting on the stand and saying, yep, it was Kelsey. But then the problem is that Kelsey would have then opened her mouth. He couldn't say it was Kelsey because then Kelsey would give her testimony. And now you have hearsay that is disproportionate and representing that he might be the person that is guilty. Not to say that it didn't already happen in trial, but you know, to further state of the people that were there, like you have 3 of the 4 people there saying, I'm sorry, you have 2 of the 4 people because the driver, from what they said, didn't testify. So here we are. This focus on demonizing Meg, but not pointing to the fact that Tory said he didn't do it. And I feel bad that as a person that said that he didn't do it, like he would have to look you in your face and own it. Like, nah, I would never do that. So in fully understanding reasonable doubt and beyond a reasonable doubt, because again, science is not perfect. Science is not 100%. And a reasonable person understands that there are alternative universes where things can occur. But based on what I'm seeing here, the most probable is this case. So back to this, he only gave his opinion, right? Because I've seen a lot of dudes, it's not just dudes, I've seen a lot of versions of people, it's just his opinion. So I'm gonna give you an hypothetical sense, right? I wanna do a hypothetical scenario with you about, it's just my opinion. And you tell me what you think. Let's say that I happen to be someone of interest that is particularly well known and so on and so forth. And this is what this looks like if I happen to be in a room with a certain sort of person and I get to have this conversation, right? So I'm coming back and I'm gonna tell y'all about it, all right? So my person that I run into is Saucy Santana. And I'm gonna tell you the conversation that we had. So I spoke to Saucy, right? And Saucy told me that he's seen DJ Livingston in a few places. And he told me, you know me and where I be at. So Saucy is like, you know where I stay. So you know if I seen him, I seen something. So you mean to tell me that the real reason that Livingston was on the internet crying like that when Saucy said something to him is because he caught him in the act, kind of acting weird? You mean to tell me that when Mr. Livingston was commenting on Saucy's pictures at 8 something in the morning, it really was because he might be like on the low? Like, is that what you're telling me? Because what I'm thinking is, he might actually like niggas. That's what Livingston is giving, he like men. That's what he's giving. So I leave this commentary, right? And the Shade Room picks it up. They start to repost it, and they got the big bold letters and the headlines and so on. Are you telling me that the DJ that don't spin is spinning on other dudes? All the content creators start picking this up, and they repost it, and they talking about it, and it's a full conversation. And then Saucy come out, and he do a live. Better yet, he don't even do a live. He come out with a new song, and in his music video, he got a streamer that's a little bit plus, that got a little hat on, that's sitting down in similar attire, similar opinion, similar build, similar features, and Saucy is getting a fellatio from said man. Is this still an opinion? Honestly, I really want to know what people think of that. Like, does that still constitute as an opinion after those series of events unfold? How about this? You know what? My personal comments on this whole thing, I'm convinced that the DJ might be battling with some secret desires based on how he moved. What really did it for me was how he handled Saucy Santana. Like, I fully believe that because of the day and age that we in, where you have to present a certain sort of way, that he's still not owning all of the things that he would own if his audience wouldn't be so critical of him. If it wasn't something that he felt like would be a detriment to his career, I feel like he would live his full and honest truth. Does that sound like an opinion? Okay. So like I said before, I blame the fans. I blame the fans. Y'all be walking y'all faves right off of a cliff and straight into punitive damages all the time. Because y'all don't understand the difference between you are bullying somebody and you are getting some sort of strange vindication from the internet. I don't know what that's about. Talk to the Lord, talk to a therapist, but I don't know if I can help you from this corner of the world. If you pay attention, to take this, again, a little bit further, you notice that when Nick go on her rampages, this is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only? Yeah. Because I can bet my bottom dollar that her legal team, her label, everybody told her, you shut the fuck up because you will have a fucking problem. You shut up. You can go and crash out if you need to, but protect your assets. Because I promise you, if you get your ass in this situation here and it's messy, you're on your own. All of these people are on notice about this smear campaign. And based on the documents that came out today about how Caesar handled himself, I'm like, oh no. In my opinion, this is far from done. And not only is it far from done, based on how they continue to act, they better be careful that they don't lose their entire platforms. And Milagro is definitely one of them people that if she's in trouble, everybody in trouble. Because none of them are actually friends. None of them actually like each other. None of them actually get along. And I'm at a point where I'm looking at it and saying, like, damn, do they actually have, like, real friends? And when you look at them collectively, I'm like, I don't really see them in groups of people that it's like, nah, this my homie. Like, I grew up with this person. Now I met this person here. Like, they ride for them kind of folks. They are fully invested in their parasocial dynamics with their fans because they haven't created the homes, in my personal opinion. They haven't created the homes, the friendships, and all this other stuff that would sustain them and keep them from seeking validation in this unhinged sort of way. So now that Mr. Livingston done figured out that this whole free Tory destroy Meg system thing is kind of imploding a bit, yeah, I think he's on notice and he's retreating. And I hope that folks start to really pay attention to how they're showing up. And yeah, I think that's it for now. I got a few things that I want to talk to y'all about in general. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. I love y'all to pieces. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.